And hello, one and all. We are live. Welcome to my review for tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw, the go home edition for Survivor Series. This is the November 14th, 2016 edition of Raw. And guys, I have to come up front and say, despite the good segment between Goldberg and Lesnar and a great ending segment that we just saw close out Raw, I was not a fan of tonight's edition of Raw. I just felt like it dragged in parts, a lot of parts, and it just felt like, it just really left a lot to be desired. So I'm not really going to go too much in depth on Raw tonight. But like I said, I'm just going to highlight the two positives from the show because there were two really good segments, in my opinion. But the rest, and there were matches, but I wasn't really invested, did not care enough to, go in depth like I normally do for this review. So we're going to talk about the major talking point from tonight's edition of Raw, and that was, of course, the Goldberg and Lesnar face-to-face confrontation. I really was a fan of this. I was wondering, are these two going to get physical, have a big pull-apart brawl, or will they save the physicality, tease it, and then have the payoff at Survivor Series? Well, what we got tonight was, I like the fact that they had a row of security inside the ring, divided it in half. You had Lesnar make his entrance, and then Goldberg got a massive reaction, tons of Goldberg chants, so that was really great to hear. And I love the way that the intensity played off and the way that Goldberg just kept, getting in Heyman's face and just telling him to shut up, shut up, shut up every single time. And then Heyman kept, getting more and more visibly frustrated. And Heyman said that these rent-a-cops here, security here is in the ring to protect Goldberg from the beast, Brock Lesnar. And Goldberg said that he knows that his name isn't on Lesnar's list and it burns Lesnar's ass. Just really good, intensity from Goldberg. And, I love when Lesnar, seemed visibly upset with the Goldberg chants. He told the crowd to pretty much shut up. So, and then the line of this promo had to have been when Heyman said that Lesnar is going to beat Goldberg so bad that his son is going to call Lesnar daddy. And this sets Goldberg off just like that. He begins clearing house, beating the holy hell out of all the security in the ring. It's great. Crowds going nuts. And then, Goldberg standing there. Lesnar's on the outside of the ring apron. We're thinking, is Lesnar going to get in the ring? It looks like he's going to get in the ring. But he doesn't. He backs down, walks away, and Goldberg's just like, well, I will see you on Sunday. So I like the fact that they teased, okay, if they're not going to touch till Survivor Series, that's okay. I can wait 6 more days to see Goldberg and Lesnar beat the holy hell out of each other. I would have liked to seen a pull-apart brawl, but that's okay. I really thought this was a strong segment. Good stuff from Heyman. As always, he's master on the mic. What more can you say? And, Goldberg with the intensity and just nice stare down, nice way to build up hype for Goldberg Lesnar too at Survivor Series. So that was really well done on tonight's edition of Raw. And besides that, the only other good thing on this show to me was the ending segment. So it's Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan. They're invited by Stephanie and Mick Foley. They come down to the ring and they pretty much get in Stephanie and Mick Foley's face. And they say, that SmackDown really has been the better show compared to Raw. And I like the fact that the crowd all went, yes, yes, yes. And even the live crowd knows that SmackDown is the better show compared to Raw. So that was kind of funny. And pretty much, Shane and DB talk about the 900th edition of SmackDown, which is going to kick Raw's ass tomorrow. We got the Cutting Edge, you got Undertaker returning, and an IC title match. So that's already going to blow this 3-hour behemoth out of the water. So Stephanie and Shane, they argue about, go back and forth. They bicker on and on. But the interesting thing was the fact that Shane and DB said they didn't come alone. And just like I wanted to see, the SmackDown team, first the Raw team made their way to the ring. They encircled Shane and Daniel Bryan. Then the SmackDown Live team came down. You had Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, and Shane, of course, was there as well. And we had this nice stare-down face-off between all the members of Team Raw, Team SmackDown Live, just like I wanted to see. That's exactly what they needed to do on this go-home edition of Raw. And Jericho, Owens, they go back and forth with AJ Styles. Jericho put AJ Styles on the list. He put James Ellsworth on the list, which was really funny. And then he put AJ's haircut on the list. So Jericho was on fire tonight easily. And of course, the scarf of Jericho. That was one of the best things on Raw tonight. So that lets you know what type of show we had tonight. And eventually, the guys go back and forth. They're bickering. And Bray Wyatt gets in Braun Strowman face. And he says, I held the keys to you, and now you've gone unleashed, unhinged, but I was the one who created you. And then Strowman just stares down Bray Wyatt. And then eventually, before you know it, Ambrose clocks Chris Jericho, and then we got all hell breaking loose. Everybody's battling, fighting. We got Reigns diving over the top rope. Ambrose doing a suicide dive. You got Jericho getting laid out with an RKO. I mean, this was just great, great stuff. Styles getting in there and getting involved, and it was Reigns and Rollins who were able to powerbomb the WWE World Champion AJ Styles, and they stood tall to close out tonight's edition of Raw. But yeah, this was a really good, strong segment. I'm not going to say that about the show because make no qualms about it. I was not a fan of this show tonight. I had hype going into this show. But based on the way that Raw was left standing tall, I really feel strong and confident, guys, over the fact that Raw will come out on the losing end and SmackDown Live will beat Raw at Survivor Series. But there were just a number of problems with tonight's show. I mean, just matches that I thought I'd care about, but then I just really didn't end up caring about. It's just like this show just really emphasized, how there was good on this show, but it just simply wasn't enough. It may have been good enough to fill up an hour, but 3 hours, no. And one other thing I have to say before, I close out this short Raw review is the fact that tonight, in the Cruiserweight match, Brian Kendrick versus Sin Cara, it wasn't an exciting match, but the fact that in that match, the crowd chanted boring. And I just have to say, when they announced that the Cruiserweights were coming to Monday Night Raw, I thought, okay, this is great. This is exactly what needed to happen. Coming off the heels of a great Cruiserweight Classic, and the fact that the way that they captivated everyone that watched that series, you were invested. You cared about the journey. You wanted to see who would come out on top. They played up the real-life emotions and personal issues of these guys. And then to think, if we could get that on Raw, think of how it could energize a 3-hour show. I'm like, okay, I'm okay with Raw being 3 hours. Once the Cruiserweights arrive, you could have 2 to 3 matches per episode. And, guys, we have not gotten that. Instead, what we have gotten and what I feared was a boring, toned-down, uneventful, uninspiring style. And it's not these guys' fault. They're just being told out there that's what they want to be seen done. But there's no excuse for the crowd to be chanting. I don't blame them because it really wasn't an exciting match. But it's sad that the Cruiserweights have gotten to this point, 2.5 months into being on Raw, almost 3 months in, and the crowd just doesn't care. I mean, can you blame them? Because the Cruiserweights really haven't been giving a proper platform opportunity. Instead of the 3-hour episode of Raw lifting them up, the 3-hour episode of Raw has dragged the Cruiserweights down to the abyss, and it just makes me turn my head. I'm shocked. I can't believe it. I thought for sure it would breathe new life into the show, and it's just sad to see that the crowd doesn't care, and I don't care, and I thought it would be different. I really, really did, and if that's the case, put them on SmackDown. You got the new 205 Live show. Get them off Raw. I mean, because it's just not working out. And tonight's evident. I mean, we only had one Cruiserweight match on a 3-hour show. And it wasn't even a good match. I mean, it was clearly a toned-down style. And crowd responded as you thought they would. But I hate the rant. I usually really try to be positive. But that just really upset me tonight. Just to see the way that this company... I know it's Vince and Kevin Dunn and all them, and just the way they have really underutilized what could be a breath of fresh air on these 3-hour editions of Raw. And the Cruiserweights just feel like another part of the show. And frankly, you almost forget that they're on Raw, and that's not how it should be. So it was probably a mistake putting them on Raw, knowing them that this was the path that they were going to be traveled down. If that was the case, put them on SmackDown. They would clearly thrive better on SmackDown, and I hope Kalisto wins this Sunday and puts Cruiserweights on SmackDown. I hope SmackDown clean sweeps Raw. And Stephanie and Mick tonight said there's going to be major changes. I doubt it, storyline-wise, okay. But this show really just needs a shot in the arm. It needs to go back to 2 hours. I cannot reiterate that enough. But guys, sorry if I sound a little negative down, but I tried to get the positives out of this review. Really enjoyed the Goldberg Lesnar face-off. Enjoyed the ending. But other than that, that's it. And the scarf of Jericho. I enjoyed the scarf of Jericho. So if I had to give tonight's edition of Raw a grade, guys, it would be a D+. So guys in the live chat, before I go off the air here, excuse me, let me know, what did you think of Raw tonight? Real quick, get your comments in there. And, but yeah, I really just was not a fan of this edition of Raw. To me, it just dragged, and the pacing, it was what it was. Ultra says he gives it a C. Okay. To me, like last week, I don't know. Only 2 segments stood out, and they were really good segments, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, I don't know if that's enough for me to give it more than a D+, but all right, guys, I think that's it for this live Raw review. Certainly looking forward to watching SmackDown Live tomorrow. That should be a really, really good 900th edition of SmackDown. Cannot wait to see The Undertaker return. Cutting Edge. Miz versus Ziggler. The A Show will be on tomorrow, and of course I'll be up here afterwards to break it all down, and hopefully it'll be a lot more upbeat and positive. Look forward to seeing what SmackDown has to offer. But that is it, guys, from my live Raw review. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to please click that like and subscribe button for more video content coming soon to this channel. Be on the lookout for my next video. So until then, guys, take care and have a good night.